This review is brought to you by Mad Men Entertainment. Living in Australia and New Zealand? Need some awesome anime to collect? Well, Mad Men's got you covered. Order anime online or head to your local DVD store to purchase anime distributed by Mad Men Entertainment. Want to sample the anime first? Head over to Anime Lab, a streaming website bringing you the latest and greatest anime titles for you to watch online. No matter what, you can always keep up in the anime world thanks to Mad Men and Anime Lab.
I'ma just say this here because I'm not really good at being all that romantic. But Josh, if you're watching this, and you probably are because I'm making you right now, you are by far one of the greatest things to ever happen to me. And no matter what day of the year it is, I love you no matter what, so never forget that, alright? So I dedicate this review to you, you lovable dork. No, I'm so embarrassed now. So, hey everyone else on the internet. How's it going? Alright, let's talk for realsies. In the anime world, I do question the naivety of how some shows tend to inflate or exaggerate the course of romantic relationships. But fear not though, because today I present the anime Golden Time. A show that, beyond what's been said about it, offers to the table an organic take on romantic relationships and connections. So, without further ado, let's fire this review underway! Tada Bondi is a newly admitted student to a private college hoping to get a new fresh start in life, but throughout his first day of orientation, he is pulled into a wacky situation involving his new friend Mitsuo and his beautiful yet crazy childhood friend Kaga Koko, who follows him after a promise they made in the past to get married. At first, our main lead goes for the ride with his new company looking as only an observer, but soon finds himself headfirst into an ever-changing college experience of self-discovery, inner pain, and loving relationships. And while I had a hard time deciding to whether to review this or The World is Still Beautiful, in the end I chose Golden Time because it hits close to home for me. For one, I like the fact that it's set in a college environment, and really feels like one at that. Even with a few cultural specific situations here and there, it didn't take away from the familiarity. I like the themes of future and promises. Whether we like it or not, our relationships can change. Your high school sweetheart now might not be your soulmate for life. And more importantly, we shouldn't harbor our displeasure when a confession or a relationship goes sour. Furthermore, unlike other rom-com dramas, it does coin the phrase, "Life is complicated," but takes the "life is complicated" on a grounded format. When you see this show, you'll see that the secrets, lies, and resentments isn't needed, yet it doesn't overflate the situations each character makes, even if their emotions seem so. Just take things slow and direct and hope it all pans out. I hate how some shows either make characters get over complicated relationship problems in like 10 minutes, or exaggerate them to seem unrealistic entirely. But Golden Time has a good fix. Is it because it's not always set in a school setting, or is it because the characters are older entirely? I don't know. Adding to the fact that the situations constantly change, which made the world really come to life. And in turn, it didn't make the plot so predictable. Though with that being said, I really can't help but point out some contradicting flaws. The biggest one being the semi-supernatural element from our main character, which I will touch on in detail later. But for now, I will say that while in concept, I know that it's just imagery on a concept that's too difficult to explain to the audience with just words. But sometimes it just goes from imagery for a character-driven plot to literally pushing the narrative off a cliff. Oh wait! All I'm simply saying is that for a series leaning more towards slice of life, this supernatural-esque element seemed out of place, like the cast of Mirai Nikki in a beach episode and not killing each other. Oh wait! Another thing I want to address is that Golden Time is another coconut layered cake of death type of show, and that if you're not one for the time for a narrative like this, you could easily get lost if you're not paying attention. It kind of backfires in its organic nature, in that because you need to pay close attention to situation changes, you might get confused on how things got to where they are by the end of the series. And while I'm not saying depth in an anime makes it hard to sell, but more like depth in an anime could already be tightening the niche rope on an already niche medium. Hence, this is a case of a show not being for everyone, focusing more on an older audience towards situation and character relations that go past the normal school life rom-com syndrome. Speaking of characters, let's get to the real sizzle of the pan. I've noticed a pattern with recent rom-coms in that for an anime rom-com to be good, it either has its plot driven by its characters to refreshen it, or the plot refreshes the characters in a heaping mist of Irish cream body soap. Luckily, Golden Time is the former, as its main selling point of the show, in my opinion, is a fun little darling of character interactions that I, as an active college student, can relate to. Well, most of the time. Now, normally I try to talk about as many people as possible, but this time I'll only talk about our couple, Kaga, Coco, and Tada Bondi, because A, their friends only enhance the drama and plot, so talking about them can bring up spoilers, and B, while he obviously doesn't start off liking Coco by the end of episode 1, it's easiest on me to only specify them since it's obvious who the end couple will be. And just for the funsies, this pairing in particular reminds me so much of my own. So let's start with Coco, since Tada has his own can of worms to open. Coco Kaga is what many other critics would call her as anime Paris Hilton, as she from day one is shown to be a fashionable rich girl out to get whoever she wants, whenever she wants, with no remorse for her character until really the end of episode 4, titled Blackout. In short, the bitch complex. But I want to throw my own goggles into the ring and state that this transition from before to after actually is being an interpretation of the more explosive personality, normally of one partner mellowing out their mindset with their significant other. And I like this setup a lot. Real life wise, when I first met Josh, I had just also come out of a messy relationship. And even after the first few months, I had an overly silly and loud personality. Granted, I still do. And even Josh can admit that up to this day, that I can be one pain in the ass sometimes. But like in the anime, I learned to see what I was doing, reflect on myself, and move on with my shortcomings and vice versa. This is why episode 4 is such a pinnacle point in the show, for both characters. Without giving away too much, it sets Coco aware of her old conceited way of thinking, while Bondi's path of life is just opening in her direction. And like in real life, even post episode 4, she kept her core character constant, but ever changing from her newfound love and choices. She, by the end of it all, becomes a really real character whose desire to love the main lead isn't out of pity or plot convenience, but out of sheer determination to understand him with his problems. Bondi, on the other hand, is what I'm going to label as the good kind of blank slate. While other characters like him have a generic Japanese look with a personality only untoasted toast would love, Bondi's initial state is the whole point, in order to show the compensation between a couple with opposite approaches in life. I'm saying this because if it wasn't this show in particular, it wouldn't work in any other situation, or at least rarely. You see, Bondi starts the show with his memories missing after a fatal accident that occurred during high school graduation, and now has to figure out how to juggle his old and new memories with the influences around him. After a while, we see he's silly, adorable, and clever when it comes to his ideas, but earnest in the I'm still a normal dude and I can fuck up too way. The first 4 episodes start him off just slow, observing and becoming the best friend for our heroine, but through real emotion slowly falls in love with her, and it becomes the representation of the undertone side of a relationship. Sure, your significant other can be, I don't know, a zany and silly individual who you sometimes have no idea what she's talking about, and you laugh at her for the simplest of things, but you can't help but love her anyway. Put simply, the main mechanic of our lead is this two-sided differential between Bondi post-amnesia, which represents patience, and the Bondi prior amnesia, who represents old wounds, who while in the same body can be considered as 2 separate characters, which I will leave Ghost Bondi for later. The clash between both mindsets can be seen as a lesson of not trying to throw away your feelings of past people, and to again compromise. Then simply the don't forsake your past kind of moral, because Bondi tries the latter and it ends up ghosting him in the gut in more ways than one. But when he tries to face his past, he doesn't have to face it alone. Through patience and understanding, he can ask Coco to walk with him and hold to rapport communication system just for them, so by the end of the series, the viewer is all the more rewarded. Now I know I'm dodging a lot of things for any of this to make sense right now, but just you wait, cause after presentation, it's ghost busting time. Before I start presentation, I want to address the series creator Yuyuko Takamiya, as she also created the anime veteran classic Toradora. And one thing I saw when scouring the opinion of other people for this series, there was a high dictate of the show mainly when comparing the two. At first I was going to mention this in plot, but was scared that for those watching this video would do the same trap, hence why I believed all anime should stand on their own merit. This is an anime produced over at JC's staff, whose animation consistency is all over the place and not one of my personal favorites, where their quality of work can range on their how much McNuggets they give that day. For Golden Time, the animation quality was a well-balanced hybrid between Toradora with a hint of Nomade Cantabile for those who know what that anime is. Then again, the bulk of their drama was character-driven, so going low maintenance was a good move, as long as the character designs were in proper order. Bondi did concern me a bit, but thanks to his ghost doppelganger, his design grew on me. Though I couldn't say the same for college Kama clone Takia over here, and it's a shame too because his character development was nicely executed for all you singles awareness people out there. I mean, his design was supposed to state the point of his journey, but the fact that Kama from World God Only Knows makes this look popular again made me wish Takia didn't literally get the shaft of his design and the plot. For this review, I'm not going to touch much about sound since the soundtrack did its job just fine, and I didn't find anything outlandishly wrong with it. At the time of the video, there is no dub. Then again, this is licensed by Sentai Filmworks, who isn't much heavy on dubs. The sub people tend to see it as overdramatic, but because there are real life instances where this can happen, that critique doesn't really bother me because I thought it was on point. The opening and endings are what I really want to talk about. This show consists of multiple openings and endings with me favoring the second opening and the first ending, though that isn't to say that other two weren't bad at all. It's just that I appreciated the second opening changing during the feels train body possession phase of the plot because it was befitting. The first opening set the lighthearted, fluffy romance tone, and after I got invested, it knew exactly when to do its cosmetic changes. The first ending was still cute though, as I loved seeing Kaga-san in this QPV. But if you're like me and the graphics of anime don't bother you much unless there's an obvious problem, then you're alright. Finally, the kid gloves are off and I can upgrade to the real industrial model. Oops. You all know what time it is, it's after show time. The part of my reviews where I throw out those nitpick glasses for a nicer pair of ginger ale and slowly sink into the chair of fandom. This section is dedicated to those who have already finished the series. So without further ado, this is your final spoiler warning. Now, I could have spent this time talking about the misadventures of Senpai Linda or Hair Today, Gone Tomorrow Mitsuo, since they are crucial to the big fat drama llama in the room, but it's hard to compete when there's an overly explosive ghost eating out of my fish and chips. Yes, Todd and Bondi before Amnesia, aka Ghost Bondi, aka Cosplay You from Charlotte before it was cool. In short, I don't know how to take this character. On one hand, I said before that he represents the resentment of old wounds and relationships, but I also see it as things people do to make their significant other feel at ease. Back in high school when his memories were intact, Bonnie's personality was the complete opposite of what it is now. A crybaby dependent McNugget who tries really hard to get his senpai to notice him. And through the journey, Linda's senpai always has this perplexed look on her face between whether to help this kicked puppy or go with the peer pressure and ignore him. But then that kicks her right back when towards graduation, Bondi confesses his feelings to her, which out of high school shyness, she asked him to wait till after school at Old McGregor's Bridge, or that's what I would like to call it, for an answer, and boom bada bing, Episode 1. From here on out, Linda tries to repent for what she has done, while Ghost Bondi looms over his current self, telling him that he basically died that day, and all he wants in life is for his loving senpai to answer that dang question whether she is taken or not. Now, I understand that this ghost was going through a lot of things in his, say, past self, but just like how the current Bondi was ignoring him doesn't make the ghost possession of your own body, mind you, to try to get at Linda or Coco all the more better. You're literally fighting with yourself. And to top that all off, after your body was on autopilot, as you like to call it, current Bondi rips up the very photo you so rubbed your face to. You as the ghost place a curse on yourself that in real time affects the main cast, almost killing everyone. If you're supposed to be just imagery for his internal thought process, then that's fine, but throwing the supernatural bullcrap just retorts the point. Heck, while I loved how the show ended, the part where the ghost is just standing in a haze fog on the bridge as if frozen in time, only to finally see a college-sized Linda answering his question of yes when she lied to him in the first place to help the current, threw another monkey wrench in the supernatural wheel. I mean, I get it kinda. The ghost finally can move on. But where does he move on to? He's not really dead but fusing with his memories. And it just goes to show that if current Bondi never fell in love with the first place, he never had to worry about Linda saying no. Ugh. You know what? I'm gonna just let this slide for the sake of my own brain. Oh, but bonus points to them for having to talk about having a sexual relationship in the future. That was so cute. I mean, how she acted and how he acted. You know what? Segue! Golden Time is a show that, despite what a lot of people say about the main female lead or comparisons to Toradora, I personally liked it. I wanted to give this show the chance it deserved to stand on its own, and while I agree that the drama can be a lot to digest if this kind of show isn't for you, I also say that it's one of the more realistic portrayals of human relationships because they don't talk down nor overinflate to their audience. Plus, people can get like that in real life. I should know. At first, I was also scared that the memory plot device would take it from reality, but it did just enough to keep me grounded for a heartwarming experience, not to mention its nicely tied ending. So after some consideration and 10 instances of romance, I award Golden Time with the recommendation to try it before you buy it, with a watchability rating of PG-13. As much as I would personally buy it, Golden Time's drama moments are a lot of content for people to take in, and if you're the casual type of watcher who'd rather have stories away from any drama, then this might not be the show for you. Simply put, the directed show for this audience isn't really big. The other reason is accessibility, where it's a lot easier to watch this on Crunchyroll or Hulu for us in North America. But if you want to buy it, Sentai Filmworks / Right Stuff will do you just fine in North America, or Mad Men if you're from Robin's neck of the woods in Australia. And hey, even if you're from Europe, I found a place called Anime Online. That's the very most creative name I've ever heard. For other recommendations, let's start with the obvious Toradora, the anime classic that, like I said earlier, shares the same creator, but its characters are more toned down and its plot isn't as fast-paced. So if you weren't a fan of Golden Time's highly dramatic portrayals, this should help. But if drama is your thing and you desire a one-way ticket on the feels train, there's also the beloved hit and Anime America's best anime of 2014, Your Lie in April, which, despite having less comedic scenes than Golden Time, offers a similar experience about a main character getting over emotional and physical turmoil. So between these two anime, you should be covered. So that's it for me, guys. Connect to us anywhere on the internet, and this time around, have some breath mints for all that candy gorging you might be doing. And before I head out for today, I want to mention that if you're in the Atlanta, Georgia area from March 4th to the 6th, I will be attending Aniblaze's first year. Keep on the lookout from our Facebook page, and I will see you there. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a... You know what? Josh owes me a date. So stay tuned to Anime America.
Want to support the production? Check out our brand new store on Store Envy. For a small price, you can have a one-of-a-kind poster made by yours truly. If you can only give a small amount to help us out, check out our Patreon page. Any amount you wish to give us goes towards our production needs, so anything you can give us helps us a lot. To keep up with the latest in Anime America stuff, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and even Tumblr. Be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe to Anime America for more awesome reviews and top 10 lists. If you're interested in anything of pop culture, be sure to subscribe to Pop Spectrum. Thank you all for watching, and stay tuned to Anime America.